So we begin in Photoshop with a new file. It's a blank file. We're going to give it the title of the book. The default is pixels because that's a printing measurement term, but we're just going to use inches, 8 by 10 inches. And we want a higher quality. We're going to go up to 300, and everything else stays the same. So RGB color, red, green, blue, and white background. Okay, so there is our file. So we're going to start by placing, so under File, Place, the title. And here's the title. Now, one of the things that I want to point out that I learned the hard way is you have to accept it the way that it's placed into the document. If you try to resize it now, it's not going to maintain the same dimensions. It's going to go all over the place. So we want to accept it as soon as we place it. So place, title. We're going to accept it first, and then we can adjust the sizing. So we're going to put the title up in the top left-hand corner. Okay. Next, on the top on the right-hand side, we're going to do the myths of personality. So again, we click on accept the size. It'll maintain those dimensions. And then next, we'll place those 5 myths. And I took those out of the original drawing because I thought it'd be easier for me to change the sizes of them once I get this all placed. And so over here, I'm going to put that quotation. There it is here. And now one thing you'll notice is that I ran out of room on my paper for the second quotation mark. So I'm going to put it down to the size that I want it. That's the size it's going to fit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this quotation mark and flip it over on this side. So what I have to do is come over here on the right-hand side where the layers are, find the layer, duplicate it, make a copy. So now I'm going to erase everything but those quotation marks. And just to make this easier, I'm going to take out everything else. Just going to make it invisible. So you click on that eye and it makes it invisible. And now I'm going to Control plus to move in closer so I can get a closer look at it. And so I'm going to click on one of them. I'm going to select the eraser. And now there's 3 different kinds of eraser. And this magic eraser, the one with the little flash on it, this one will take away all the background. So I'm going to click on that. Oh, that's not good. Go back. So let's just try the regular. So what's happened here is that this type is too thin. So I'm going to erase those, the rest of those words. And now maybe I can try that magic eraser over here. Nope, still not good. So what we'll try and do is try and keep it as close as we can. All right. Now let's move this into place. Bring everything back. So now what we're going to do is take this and put it on top of the other one. And we're going to flip it so that it is the other way. So that's what an end quote looks like. All right. So there we got 2 quotation marks. We nudge those a little bit with the arrow keys. Same thing here. All right. So there we go. We've got our quotation. We've got the myths of personality. And I got the space over on this side where I'm going to put in those illustrations and make them fit better. Okay. So let's put those illustrations in. And this is the first one. And you can see now, so what's happened here is this file here is sitting on top of this one. So over here in the layers, we're going to switch those so that this is now on top of this one. And so we can make those look better. There. We got the second one. Personality comes from your past. That's that yearbook. Let's place that. And again, we got to put that on the bottom there. Okay. Let's just reduce this in size a little bit. Next, personality must be discovered. That's that magnifying glass. There we go. Now what I think I'm going to do with this one is get the magic eraser. And you can toggle between the erasers just by hitting the E. There's the magic one. Magic eraser. That erases all the background there. So now we can get really close without getting it on top of that. There we go. And then the last one is that prize ribbon. And let's do the same thing here. Let's do the magic eraser. We will put that again. Put this one down below. Oh. There. And so we've got our 5 myths here. And now if I want to move all of these elements, I'll hold down the Shift key and then click on each of those myths. So this one. And now I can move them all as one piece. Okay. Okay, now I can do the same thing with that. You can actually click on these links and it'll keep them together. So anytime you want to move them, click on the chain and then they'll move together. So the next we have to look at is those 4 different components. So let's look at the first one. The first one was transform your trauma. There's the first one. And I don't know, I'm just thinking like make it the quarter the size of this bottom section here. Next, place The next one, enhance your subconscious. Now, what you can do too is if you take a look down on the bottom here, as you move this, it will show you the proportional reduction. See, so it's down now, it's 77, 75. So you can use your eyeball, but also keep your eye and hold the left click mouse so you can see the size of it, because we want all of these to be the same size. Okay. Okay. Next one is shift your story. So again, we're going to accept it and reduce it down to, what was it, about 73, 74, 77? We'll look at it again. And now you'll see this one should be on top of transform. There. And now put that in place. It looks a little big. Okay. And I'll show you one more. We'll put one more in and I'll show you how we line them up. And the last one is enhance. No, not that one. We already have enhance. Plates. That's it. Redesign your environment. Accept it. About 70. And again, this has to sit on top of the subconscious. Okay, so now that's on top. Okay, so we got our 4 different elements here. Now, what we do to line them up is under view, we click on grid, and then it superimposes a grid over top of your illustration. So you can see the line where the first, we're going to measure that first, and you can see already that this is still a little bit bigger there. Okay. And let's do the same for this one on that line. So that the first line. And now this redesign your environment seems larger. So I'm going to reduce this a bit and then move it back up onto that line. Okay. And then we can do the same thing on the left-hand side of these text blocks. So we got that one line there, lines up the T, and then I'm just nudging these with the arrow keys. And then the same thing here. Let's follow this one. Move it just a little bit that way. Okay, so we have our 4 main components of the book there. And now the other section that needs to be in here, we can enlarge this now that I see it. And this too. One thing now I noticed after I did a drawing of the truth about personality, and I had drawn it, and I'll show you this, as a circular. That's going to go above the quote. I drew this as a circular graphic, thinking that would work better. But then when I looked at those 4 big blocks, those are the 4 main components of the book, I had to change this. So I changed it from a circular illustration to a line. So I just moved it into a line, and that fits nicely there. Your goals shape your identity, shapes your actions. And sometimes you have to do that just to make things fit. And so just taking a look, we'll control minus, we'll take away that grid. So you can start to see how it's taking shape now. Just looking at it, you can see that these myths of personality, all of these probably need to be a little bit bigger, just because it's harder to see them right now. So let's do that. And let's, first of all, let's join them all up. So it's really this block of text here. Let's try to increase the size of that. That helps, definitely. Yeah, that's definitely better. And now I can move these around to fit them into the space. Maybe shrink that a little bit. Okay, so there we have the main components. And everything looks good. Everything fits nicely. Maybe I'll give a little bit more room here for that truth about personality, that line there. And I can nudge that just a little bit with the arrow keys. You know what I'm going to do too? I'm going to put this at the bottom so that all those items sit on top. All right, so everything looks good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to collapse all of those layers. And basically what I'm doing is I'm merging all of those layers. And now I have it down pat as a shortcut key. Shift, Control, E. I do that, and now this is one layer. Everything's all on one layer. Now this is the point in time when I can start to use colors. Now I did some coloring here on the, you'll see on the iceberg. And so what I want to do is for the lettering, I'm going to actually use, so I'm going to use that color. And so I'm going to use the point over here, color picker tool, or again, I can just click on I, and then I'm going to click on this dark blue in the water here. And I'm going to use that for this section here. I'm going to use the paint bucket or the K, and then I'm going to click on all of these letters to color them all in. And the same, I'm going to keep shift your story. I'm going to color that all in blue. Okay. And now I'm going to use those blues here. So I still have that in the paint bucket on the blueprint. So the blueprint is going to use that color as well. And then you'll see what we'll do now for the black lines, we can leave them black, or we can make them a lighter blue, because that's what they really look like. I'm going to be really close here. All right, and so if I were to click on these lines now, any line that's attached to them will also be colored in that color, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to disconnect any of these blueprint lines. I'm going to disconnect, right click, get a smaller brush. Just going to disconnect those lines so that when I color those lines, it'll only be that area that will be colored. So I want to go back now. I'm going to get my other blue, the lighter blue, which is up above, the sky blue. I'm going to use that for other lines. Some of them can be really tiny. You got to really get in there. And sometimes I'll also, if it's becoming difficult like this, sometimes I'll even just go in with a brush and just paint over the brush, paint over the black. But you can see it's so much easier just to click one click and do it all. Let's see if I got it all now. All right, did I get the one on the other side? Nope. And there we go. So that's really more of what a blueprint looks like. Okay, so we've got those colored. Then I want to use the red. I'm just going to stick with the primary colors. Red, of course, the broken heart. And now when you color it in, you can see those broken pieces better. Okay. I'm also going to use the red for that exclamation mark, as well as the type here in these two blocks. All right, enhance your subconscious, and then redesign your environment. And I'm just left clicking on the mouse to color in each of these letters. Okay, so we've got those subtitles. Now with the italicized letters, oh wait, I forgot to do this book. Let's use the yellow for the flash, and let's use the blue for the book cover. Okay, so for the italics, I want to use the red again, just to emphasize. And I've gotten to the point now where I really work hard to make sure that letters touch whenever possible, so it's easier to click through. Doesn't always work, especially with the eyes, the dot over the eye. And then the new people. Okay, so we've got those all highlighted. And now let's go into the title. And I talked about this when I was writing this title. What I wanted to do was I wanted to make this word permanent fade. So let's start with clicking on personality. And I'm going to use red in the box, isn't. And then I'm going to do permanent with the letters fading as I go from left to right. So I'm going to click a couple in the regular red. And now I'm going to use a whole string of different colors and have them fade. And there's two ways I can do this. I can do it this way by clicking down along this and making it lighter and lighter as you go along. Or I can go down here to opacity and I can make the color less intense. I can just click on this. And this makes it easier for me to see that we are decreasing and that is getting lighter and lighter. See that? So there's two ways you can do that. I like doing the opacity because you know for sure that that is getting lighter and lighter by a certain increment. And then I'm going to do the same thing for that black outline. So I'll go back to 100%. Anytime you want to go back to black color with white eraser, you can just click down here. But what I'm going to do is with that black, I'm going to click on the opacity and I'm going to do the same thing as the letters get lighter. Now, remember I said before, if I click on this one, it's touching here and touching here. So it's going to do M-A-N. It's going to do all those letters. So a better way for this, because it's less ink being put on full ink, it's not going to see the change. The best way to do this is to do the actual color variance. So do this one as gray. And then lesser gray for the E. And then lesser for the N. And then even less for the T. There you go. So the personality isn't permanent. And see how the letters are now fading. So again, it intensifies that message that personality isn't permanent. Now I've got a couple of those drama masks. I think we'll stick with the blue. Oh, wait, actually, maybe a better idea would be blue on the sad face and then yellow on the happy face. That probably makes more sense. Okay, everything's looking good. Now, we just have to do this quotation. And one of the things I've been doing is putting quotation marks, quotations and quotation marks into a cloud formation. So let's try that. So what I do is I color it in a bigger font. So like 69%, 69 point, maybe 99 point, so that I can make the clouds. But I do it at like half the opacity. And so what happens is you get this color that's used elsewhere, and we make that into clouds. And then once I've got that all covered, I'll go back around and just make sure. So I hold down the left key, the click on the mouse, the left-hand side. And there's actually, I should have pointed that out before. Anytime you do anything wrong, if I tried to do that again, it would just make it darker. So I want to take that away. Control Z. It's every designer's best friend. So there we go. We've got that quotation in a cloud. And then let's color those quotation marks. Remember, I said it would be easier. Look how much easier that is to color as opposed to trying to do it with a marker. There you go. All right. And now, finally, I can add my signature. This one looks like, usually I like to put it in the middle, but this one looks better, has more room on the right-hand side. And of course, we need to Control Shift E, merge the visible layers. And there it is. There's the sketch note for Personality Isn't Permanent. And we've gone from the notes and sketches to the drawings, the lettering, and finally scanning and coloring. So there it is. It's a long journey. It usually takes me, well, it could take up to 2 weeks to do one of these just so I can find time. But usually it's about 20 to 30 hours working from the end of the book to the end of the sketch note. So I hope it was entertaining. Thanks for watching.